Howdy partner, and welcome back to the last video of Cowboy Week. I be Ranger Jackson. I'm gonna answer the age-old question. Can I turn a saddle into a corset to make the saddle set? So let's start making it. Alright, the challenge is we're gonna make a full corset, so that's what I'm designing out right now. And we're gonna take every single piece of the saddle that I physically can to make this full corset. Right now, I'm putting in our seam allowance. It's gonna be about 1/2 inch all the way around, so that way we can sew everything together. Yeah. All right, so here's our pattern. Now, I wanna take our saddle here and take off basically the extra bits so I can see what we got for like the main piece. So let's do that. All right, first we're gonna take all the straps and the extra cushions off the saddle so that way you can have this nice flat piece to actually cut everything out. I was going through, I tried to cut everything out of that base saddle, but I just barely had enough. So just for like 2 pieces, we're gonna just cut out some interfacing and we're gonna cut out some separate lining. So the only parts that aren't actually from the saddle that we're gonna be using is there's 2 pieces with interfacing because the saddle wasn't big enough to get everything out of the saddle, and we're gonna cut out some lining because there's no like good lining fabric. There's just not enough to make a lining out of the saddle as well, and the bones and the grommets. But everything else is made out of the saddle. All right, I thought it was a fun fit because it's Cowboy Week. And you know what's also good cowboy media? This Is My Story, my audio fiction series that I co-wrote, co-directed, starred, co-produced. It's called This Is My Story. Now, it may not be directly about cowboys, but the narrator, Zachary Blaze, which is the character I play, is descended from one, a famous outlaw. So, you should go listen to This Is My Story. Cowboy Week is just an excuse so I can promote this because I didn't know how to naturally bring it up any other way. So here's everything cut out. Now let's head over to the sewing machine and we can get the sewing. All right, it's prep work time. We're putting together the 2 pieces of interfacing onto the 2 pieces that aren't from the actual saddle. And then we're gonna sew together our lining 1/2 inch all the way down. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, we're just sewing. Cowboy style. And if you're enjoying this video, be sure hit that like button with your spurs, cause we're cowboys this week. All right, so now that that's all sewn together, let's actually start sewing the main body. All right, so let's start sewing this together. First, we're gonna take our 2 pieces here, sew down 1/2 inch. Cool. Now we're gonna take one of the straps, open up our seam here, and sew it down. Why am I on screen? There's supposed to be like another 10 seconds of like POV. This is how we're sewing. Huh? Oh. Okay, so here's the thing. This saddle material, really thick, like super thick. So like I had to sew over like 10 times and it just wouldn't stitch together because it was too thick. So we're gonna go back to the drawing board and try a new technique. Just like in This Is My Story, Zachary Blaze went to go find his ancestor's secret stash. All right, you should go listen to This Is My Story. It's an audio fiction series. You can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all the places where you can listen to podcasts. Please go listen to This Is My Story. That works. Okay, I was just being dumb. Let's pivot the pattern. Okay, so we're gonna do a zigzag stitch and then sew on top of that seam. So what we're gonna do here is chop off 1/2 inch off of all the pieces on the side so that way we can actually do this technique properly. I should have done that from the beginning, but I am a fool. Alright, let's head back over to the sewing machine. Okay, let's try sewing again. So what we're doing here is we're gonna push our two pieces together with a zigzag stitch, so that way they're connected. Then I'm gonna put this belt across because I thought it would look cool. Sometimes you just gotta add a thing because you think it looks cool. Then we're gonna go back over to the sewing machine. We're actually gonna take our straps again, lay that over the seam, and then sew down 1/4 inch on the straps. And that's how we're gonna sew the whole piece together. So it's finally time for the long sewing portion of the video. So you know what time it is? It's tier list time. Let's go, everyone. Of course, I throw the material that we're working on onto the tier list, and the saddle is a C tier. Yeah. It's terrible to work with. You know, I always say there's no material too thick to work for a corset. This material's too thick to work for a corset. Even with this new way I'm doing it, I still have to go over seams multiple times to try to get those stitches to stay. And it's not fun. This is not fun. But you know what is fun? This is my story. You should listen to this. Okay, I think you get it. Please go listen to This Is My Story. So we're gonna finish sewing this up. I also did a little bit of prep work for the lining because I did 2 different techniques. So I sewed on the tops that way. Going forward, it's gonna be a little bit easier to actually finish the project. Now let's add the bones to the bone channels. We're just adding the bones, nothing too spicy, nothing too crazy. All we're doing is cutting a 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the bottom, so that way we can slide the bones in. And when we add our bias finish, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. And we don't have to worry about anything. I've already said that once this video. I need to stop saying it multiple times a video. Am I gonna remember to do that? Probably not. But I said it already, so we're gonna put the bones in the bone channels. All right, now let's finish this up. So all we're doing here is just adding a top stitch on the bottom and the side, so that way when we sew in our bias finish, it's gonna be easy, just simple prep work stuff. Then we're gonna go to our side. We're gonna sew on some more straps just to finish it off. Make a separate bone channel so that way I can slide another bone into the side, so that way when we add our grommets and lace everything up, it's a little bit stronger. After we put on both sides, we're gonna come to the top. They had a bias version of all the straps on the actual saddle. So I just took that off the saddle and actually used it as our bias finish on the corset. Most things don't actually have that. So I was popping off. I was excited because this was nice and easy. We just sewed 1/2 inch all the way around, flipped it over, so added a top stitch, and then there is all the sewing completed of the video. Let's go. Okay, so now let us add our grommets. They'll be allowed to hammer around these parts, partner, cause it's hammer time. Cowboy edition. Let's add the grommets. All right, let's lace this up on the form. Before we see the completed saddle set on the form, if you made it this far into the video, how about you hit that subscribe button? I work really hard on these, and I'd really appreciate it if you did that. Alrighty, let's see the completed saddle set on the form. All right, cool. There it is. So now I'm gonna clean this up and then cut to me talking in front of the green screen to give my final thoughts. So there you have it. A corset made 100%, like 98.3% out of a saddle. So the answer to the age-old question, can you turn a saddle into a corset, is kinda. I think it turned out all right. There's lots of issues with it because of how thick the material actually is. So it like gets warpy, and like the edges around the top aren't super smooth, and it's just slightly off, which is hence the C tier placement. But it's on the form. I put it. It's there, and I've completed it, and it's done. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit a like, subscribe, drop a comment on what weird material I should use next, and I'll saddle you later, partner. Please listen, this is my story. I worked so hard on it.